So, welcome back. So, in the last slide or when we just closed the class of the last lecture, we consider that we are trying to combine a forward and an option. Now, why did we do that? That was the question which I tried explaining, is that any negative movement also is you are trying to basically reduce your risk. On the positive movement also you are trying to reduce your risk. But if you look carefully at the diagram, the main thrust area is that you think in the long run the prices ST would increase, that is why you are afraid and you want to mitigate or lessen your overall impact. So, your main concern is to go for a combination where your main concern is any increase of ST greater than K, if it is done on a standalone basis. Standalone means if you had only gone for a forward or if you have only gone for a option, that would have basically made a huge amount of loss, mainly for the option. So, now you are trying to combine them such that you are able to lessen your overall impact the moment ST is greater than is equal to K. So, if you come to the qualitative words, it states like this: the transaction we have considered is known as writing a covered call. That means, you are trying to cover the call in the sense that it protects or covers the investment from the payoff or the short call that becomes necessary if there is a sharp increase in the stock price. So, if there is a sharp increase in the stock price, obviously the person who has bought that option will exercise, which means you would face a loss. So, in order to cover your loss, you would basically go for a forward position also, such that the overall impact is done in such a way that the overall profit or a overall loss would be parallel to the x axis. So, any extra amount of increase in ST would not have a detrimental effect on your overall risk. So, similarly, you may be thinking, well, this was the case where ST is greater than K, you think is going to happen. What if ST, if you think is going to be less than K, can you do that? The answer is yes, we will see that in few moments. So, position is an option and an underlying one where you think the prices would be on the downward trend later on, we will see that. So, consider is a short position in a stock, which is this one, and the long call, which is this one. So, again this you are okay. Before I come to the any negative movement, here also again you think this will happen, ST in the long run would be greater than X or K, which means if you consider this would have been the profit, this would have been the loss. So, you are trying to combine them such that is parallel. So, any loss is basically in between this such that you are able to overcome your overall huge amount of fluctuation in the price if ST is greater than K. So, now this you had considered in the first example, it was a long in a stock and the call option was done accordingly. Here it is a short position on a stock and a long position on a call. So, now you are basically trying to combine them such that the short and the long go hand in hand, thinking that in the long run if ST is greater than K, you will face a loss. Now, as I was repeating, what happens if the ST is on the downward trend less than K? How do we do that? So, this transaction is just the reverse of writing a covered call. You have written in the first case, now you have bought second instance. So, in there also you thought ST was greater than K would make a loss. So, you have basically reduced the overall loss. Now, think if the prices were happening in such a way that you would have made a loss. So, consider you have only gone for the forward. So, this is the loss. So, you want to reduce. How would you reduce? You will also go for a long position of put option. So, this is the one. So, any negative price movement, this and this would be cancelled each other, so that your overall position would be this parallel line to the which is the bold one. So, you are more thinking that any negative price movement of ST less than equal to X or K is detrimental and is going to happen such that you will combine them with a long position in a stock and a long position in a put. Again the next question comes, can we do that with a call? So, the answer is yes. What we are going to do? We are going to see that if we can basically formulate a forward along with the option, thinking that the prices are going to go on a downward trend, which is this. So, this was one position. Now, we will see that how you are going to do that with your call position. So, the transaction is called a protective put because you have been able to protect the put from any negative fluctuation. Again the same thing, if we had gone for an option, short position and a put option, this would have been a loss. Now you also go for a short position in stocks as that combine them. So, this is the profit which you would have, this is the loss, so the overall loss is reduced to the maximum possible extent. So, you have been able to combine that with the long short for negative price movement, and initial first two side it was basically combinations on option and forward for any prices for ST was greater than K. So, we have basically been able to consider both positive and negative movement of ST. This transaction is just the reverse of the protective put which I have considered. So, now we have been able to see any ST greater than K for there are two instances where you can reduce the risk, ST less than K again there are two instances you can reduce the risk. So, now we will see that how you can expand your combinations in a way where ST now basically starts varying in different domains or range. A spread strategy involves taking a position in two or more options at the same time at the same expiry date. Some examples are bull, where you think why the word bull is used, we will come to that, we will come to the concept of why bear word is used, bear spread, we will also come to the concept of why butterfly word is used. So, these are spreads, spreads means the overall fluctuations. What does bull spread mean? Bull spread means the investor is hoping that the stock price would increase. Similarly, the bear spread would mean the investor is thinking or hoping the price would decrease, and in the butterfly one will think or the investor is thinking that is basically fluctuating within a range. How that happens? Let us consider. So, first for the case bull spreads. Now, you basically have to using options only, these are calls. So, this is one same time duration, but the price is different K2. Another option same time duration K1. Now, if you consider both of them on a standalone basis, the first one, the moment it is greater than S2, you face a huge amount of loss, it increases as you go on to the right. For the case of 2, if the price is greater than K1, so obviously this is the price, it will increase. So, now what you think is that you want to basically minimize the overall loss, as that you want to combine them in such a way. So, any positive and negative movement, thinking the positive would happen more, you are able to reduce your overall risk in both the direction. How? Combine them and consider these prices are, these are the prices which are paid. If you combine them, you see for any fluctuation which is less than K1, it is always constant, any fluctuation greater than K2 is always constant, any fluctuation in between would just basically be a straight line where there is not much of a loss or much of a gain. So, this is the loss, this is the gain. So, now you ask what happens if K1, K2 become 1, so it will be a spiked line, just a step function. So, what you have been able to do is that considering two different call options depending on the prices, whatever the prices what paid or bought, you are able to reduce your risk in either direction, but here you are thinking that it will be more on a bull spread because the prices would be increasing, such that any increase in the price you have been able to mitigate the risk to a constant value, which is much less than the overall risk which you would have faced if there was only one. So, now consider, if you remember I did mention that first draw the diagram or then the table, or draw the table and then diagram. So, exactly the same thing. So, we are considering on the first column ST, the second column is the long call, this is basically the short call, and this is the net profit. So, this is basically calls only. So, these are calls, CCs are the calls, L and S are the long and the short. Now, also consider this L word LC, SC are the prices of the long and the short. So, we are trying to basically use the same symbol C, but with the suffix will denote what are the prices. So, also remember the value mod of LC is not equal to the mod of SC, that means you are considering the prices are different. So, if they were not different, obviously this would be 0. So, for ST less than K1, so your value for the LC is the minus value which you have paid. The value for the short is that you have basically sold, you will get some money, and the net profit would be the difference of the value which you have done. If you go back to the slides again, this is the negative value minus. It could be positive also depending on whether CSC and CLC are positive or negative, whichever is greater. Now consider it is between K1 and K2. So, in the case of it is, if for the long call it will be exercised, for the short call it would not be. So, if you combine them, the profit becomes this. So, if you go back to the slide again, so this is the straight line. So, if we consider the straight line for values between K1 and K2, this is the equation we are trying to consider. The moment ST is greater than K2, which is in this region, so what will happen? One has already been exercised, this one, the second one will also be exercised. So, this has already been exercised, this will be exercised, combine them and your total profit function is this. So, if you see this, this is the line which you had is basically the straight one. So, this if you again K1, K2 are same, this is a spiked function. Consider you have simultaneously gone into a long call and a short call for the same maturity. Remember, time to maturity is fixed. We have long call K1 is 100, CLC is minus 5 because of the amount of money being paid, and short call is K2 is 150 and CSC is plus because this is the money amount of which you are getting. Solve the problem. So, if you basically put these values exactly as it is, you will get the matrix which is shown here. And when you get the matrix and get the graph and combine them, you will get the bull spread using the calls where there are two calls. What are these calls? This is a long call and a short call, and the values are given: LC, strike price, price of the call, short call, price of the delivery price, and the price of the call. And the time duration T is same for both of them. Remember that, that's important. Now, you consider the bull spread using calls, again the same thing. Now, if ST is less than K1, both would not be acted upon because it is a profit and loss you have already made. This is the price which you have paid, this is the price you have got. So, the net profit is given depending on which is greater. Positive is greater, so it will be on the higher side over the x axis. If it is negative, it will be on the lower side. The moment ST is in between K1 and K2, you will have the final equation, which is the straight line again, this portion. And in the value of, say for example, ST is greater than K2 is the basically straight line which is given by the equation. Again, CLC and CSC, they would basically vary in the values, but obviously with a positive and negative sign, and you can make a decision accordingly. Now, you are considering a bull spread using a put. So, again what you need to do is that understand very logically. First, have the puts, how many puts are there, whatever it is. Here you have only 2 puts. So, it can be long put, short put for different time durations, for different strike price, it does not matter. They can be 2 puts, 3 puts, 5 puts, whatever it is, it does not matter. So, what you need to do is that understand that they are for the time being in the initial condition, they are of the same duration, time to maturity is fixed, and then also you will consider the delivery prices K1, K2, K3, K4 are very clearly marked along the x axis. And then draw one at a time what are the different type of puts. If it is a long or a short or different combinations of them, draw them individually. And then once you have drawn them individually, then you make the cumulative graph. That is method 1. And once you have the cumulative graph, then you can come back to the cumulative matrix. Another method would be, first draw the table. What do you need to draw? Basically, in the first column, you have the ST values in which domain. And then you have basically different type of options, long put, short put, what are the amount of prices which you are paying and getting. And then on the last column, you basically take the cumulative profit as ST changes its domain. Once you have that, again you can basically go back and try to draw the diagram as it is given here, and basically be able to understand that given the diagram, you can draw the matrix, or given the matrix, you can get back to the diagram. So, let us see that given the diagram, we want to basically double check how we will get the matrix. Again, these are puts, this is known as long put, short put. and the prices of the put are given by the symbols P. So, obviously, it is minus and plus depending on whether the payments are being made or payments are being obtained, and the suffix LP and SP are the long put and the short put, SP and LP, remember that. Now, if ST is less than K1, obviously, in this case both are being exercised and the cumulative profit is given by this depending on the value of PLP and PSP. Leave aside the negative sign and the positive sign. The net value, once you basically subtract from one from each other, you will get the overall value of SP and LP, and this K1 and K2 are basically the prices of the delivery for the corresponding puts which you have. So, if they are same, again remember it just is a step function, and the value of ST is basically the value of the, if you consider, because these are going to cancel for both the cases. If you consider ST is basically the spot price for that particular stock as on time T is equal to capital T. As now ST changes its domain, it is now greater than K1 and less than K2, and in the third instant, which is the third row, it is basically greater than is equal to K2. You will find out there would be different combination of that, which means that if ST is greater than K1, obviously it would not be exercised. Again, if it is greater than K2, obviously it is not exercised by whoever the buyer is. It can be you or it can be the other person, and based on you can find out in the last column the net profit. That means, if you draw the net profit, the graph which you will get is this. Again, still I am saying the same thing. If both K1 and K2 same, it basically a spiked function, and as they change, it basically becomes the tangential or the sloping line. Sloping line means the one which you got out here. Now, you consider the bear spread. The investor is hoping that the stock price will decrease. Here till now we have considered the stock price as an increase. Now, we are thinking the stock price will decrease. So, now consider again different type of options, put and call in different combinations. This is using the calls only. So, now you are thinking it is on the reverse direction, ST would be decreasing, that is on the in the bear market. So, now again you had two calls, combine them, again the difference of K1 and Q2 is there, they are not the same. Once you combine them, you will see the whatever the range is, your overall profit and loss is basically kept within the band. That means, you are able to mitigate the risk to the maximum possible extent. Again, let us take the calls, again draw the diagram, where the first column is basically ST, different domains or different ranges of ST. The second, third are basically the short call and the long call. Here again, C is the prices, minus and plus, depending on whether you are basically giving or buying or basically somebody is buying from you. And LC and SC are basically the simple concept of short call and long call. Then, as ST is less than K1, ST is between K1 and K2, and ST is greater than K2, you will basically have the different combination of short call and a long call. In the first instant, both of them are not exercised, hence the profit is given by the difference with a negative or a positive sign, whatever it is. The moment ST is greater than K1 and less than K2, the short call will be exercised and the long call would not be exercised. And the last instant, when ST is greater than K2, obviously short call will be exercised. It has already been exercised. Now, similarly, long call will be exercised. So, if you combine both these instances, when ST is between K1 and K2, ST is greater than K2, the overall profit functions are given. That means, in this case, obviously, you will have, if you combine them, the overall profit function will be such that the matrix would basically give you the diagram as shown. So, this is now using the calls. Now, your question would be, can we do it using puts? Answer is yes. Let us see how. Now, it is a bear spread using puts. So, this is basically one put, this is one put, and again note down the prices K1 and K2. Remember, the time to duration to maturity is same T. Now, again, if I can, before showing the table, if you can recollect, in the first column you have the ST, second column you have the puts, long or short, whatever it is, depending on whatever the delivery price is. And the last column which you will have is basically a combination of the long put and the short put. So, let us again rehash the same example. First column ST less than K1, between K1 and K2, greater than K2. So, this is exactly what I am doing. If there are more Ks, you will do basically break it down accordingly. The next column, which is the short put, and the third one is the long put, and the fourth one is the combined profit. So, if you see, the prices are given by P for the put with the suffix XP and LP as they are the short put and the long put, and with a minus and a plus would basically means money is flowing out of your pocket, money is coming to your pocket. So, in the case when it is less than K1, so both have been exercised, so the new cumulative profit would be this. So, just remember ST and ST would be cancelling out, but I have basically written them in explicit form for you to understand. The moment ST is between K1 and K2, one of them would be stopped, and obviously nobody will exercise, then other would be on. On means somebody would exercise it. So, the short put would not be exercised because the prices is already greater than K1, and the long put would be exercised till the level when ST is less than equal to K2. So, in this case it has been exercised, in the last instance it has not been exercised. So, if I consider both these values, this is the cumulative profit. If I consider this is the cumulative profit. If I am able to draw that, the graph which you have already seen is this one. That means you are basically trying to combine long put and a short put in order to basically find out a bear spread, thinking that the prices are going to go on a downward trend. Now, consider the butterfly spread. The investor is hoping that the large stock prices movements are unlikely. So, now if you go through all the examples we have done, we are considering in one instant prices would be on an increasing trend, considering a forward and option, then considering prices would be on a decreasing trend, again you consider a forward and option, and now then later on we consider only options, thinking the prices are increasing bearish, prices are decreasing bullish, and this example we will consider that investor thinks that the prices would not be fluctuating too much. So, we will slowly expand our examples, and before we end this class, I will again urge the students to please read John C. Hull, understand the concept of bear and bull spreads, understand the combination of forward and options, and then slowly as we understand it, we will go into the butterfly spreads on the different type of spreads which can be formulated, straddle and so on and so forth for different combinations of options, and how we see that they can be utilized in order to mitigate the overall risk. Before I end the class, again I want to reiterate, first draw the diagram, then draw the matrix if you think you are comfortable in that, or else my suggestion would be first draw the matrix and then draw the diagram. That will give you a good picture how the problems can be solved. So, I will end today, thank you very much, and from next class I will start the detailed discussion about different type of straddles, different type of butterflies depending on different type of concept with the investor has about the price movement of ST being greater than K1 or K2 or being between different bands. Thank you.